Hello guys, in this video we will be discussing on the research objectives and hypotheses. So objectives are the clear statement which describes what the researcher is want to achieve or to what research questions the researcher is trying to get the answers. So simply if we have to mention what objectives are, so objectives are the to-do list in the research. So objectives are what the researcher is exactly trying to find out. Let us put it in a simple example. Suppose you are planning to visit Goa. So before you go to Goa, you will make certain plans, some actions which you want to take at the Goa. For example, to visit 5 beaches in the Goa. That become your objective. To try 3 local dishes at Goa. To hire a two-wheeler and to see Goa's historical places, or to do a photo shoot at the sunset on beaches. So these are those to-do list which you are making before you actually go to Goa. Similarly, objectives are the to-do list or those actions or activities which the researcher wanting to do during the research process. Let us try understanding this with a simple business situation. Suppose there is a restaurant and that restaurant is experiencing declining the sales and rise of customer complaints. So obviously the research questions will be why the restaurant sales are declining and why are the customer complaints increasing. So we can develop our objective statement like to identify the main reasons for declining the restaurant sales. If I consider this as a question and if I'm able to identify the main reasons why there is a decline in the restaurant sales, then I will address all those factors and I will be ensuring that the sales at restaurant will get increased. So simply I can say objectives are those questions to which the researcher want to find out the answers so that the problem can be resolved. Similarly, the second objective can be developed like to determine the customer preferences for food items and prices. To answer this question, if the researcher finds that the customer prefer particular type of food and at a particular price, then obviously informed decision can be taken by the restaurant to offer those preferred foods to the customer as well as at the affordable prices that will increase the sales and ultimately the profitability of the restaurant. And in the same situation, we can formulate one more objective statement that is to evaluate the level of customer satisfaction. If the level of customer satisfaction is low with respect to current food and services quality, then we have to improve the quality of the food and we have to improve the services quality so that the customer satisfaction level can be improved further, which will help in increasing the sales, simultaneously decreasing the customer complaints. So, depending upon the business situation, the researcher will try to collect the answers related to the research question or the problem situation so that a proper solution can be provided and an informed decisions can be taken. So simply we can say objectives will help the researcher to break down the big research question into smaller achievable goals. Now let us understand what are hypotheses. So hypotheses are simply nothing but the educated guess or the assumptions or tentative statements that the researcher makes before the beginning of the research. Here the researcher have to identify two or more variables which are there in the given business situation, and then the researcher will make these assumptions or tentative statements considering these variables identified by the researcher. So we can say hypotheses are the predictions that the researcher makes before conducting the research, or we can say these are those statements where the researcher is making the guess that these two variables they are related to each other or one of the variable is having its effect or impact on the another variable. Let us understand this with a simple example. Suppose, for example, a teacher in a classroom makes a statement that all those students who are sitting in the front rows, they score better in the examination. As I said, hypotheses are the assumptions or predictions which we wanting to test. So if I have to formulate an hypothetical statement, the statement will be like students who sit in the front row score higher marks than those who sit in last rows. This statement may be correct, this statement may be wrong, but we have to prove whether the statement is correct or wrong. For that, we have to collect the test score of all the students and those students who are sitting in the front rows have to compare their score with the students who are sitting in the last row. And if it is found that the students who are sitting in the front rows, they are really scoring more as compared to the students who are sitting in the last rows, then our statement is tested and it is proved. So we can say the assumptions made by the teacher is correct. There are two types of hypothesis. Let us start with the null hypothesis. So we can say null hypotheses are the negative statement which indicates that there is no relationship between the identified variables, or there is no impact of independent variable on the dependent variable, or both the variables are same. That is, there is no difference available between the two variables. So we can mention like A is equal to B. That means A and B both are same. Null hypothesis assumes that there is nothing that is happening or there is no change is happening. The purpose of formulating the null hypothesis is to reject or to disprove by the researcher. So the format of writing the null hypothesis statement is there is no significant relationship or there is no significant difference between A and B. That is the two variables which are there under the study. Or we can also mention is like there is no significant effect of A on B. So let us understand this with two simple business situation. A company want to introduce flexible working hours to see if this flexible working hour improves the employee productivity and performance or not. So the null hypothetical statement, as we said, it is the negative statement saying there is no change or no difference. So the null hypothetical statement here will be flexible work hours have no effect on employee productivity. Similarly, if you look at the second business situation where a company wanting to test a new advertisement to see its impact on consumer buying behavior. So the null hypothetical statement will be the new advertisement does not increase brand awareness as compared to the old one. That means old ad and new ad are same, or the impact of both the advertisement is same. There is no differences available. So why we require to develop this null hypothesis? Because in statistics, we always start with assuming nothing is happening. That is making a negative statement, and then we collect the data so as to have the strong evidence to reject this negative assumption. The another type of hypothesis is called as the alternate hypothesis, which is a positive statement which indicates that there is a relationship or there is a difference between the given two variables. So we can mention like A is not equal to B. Similarly, if we want to study cause and effect kind of research, then the alternate hypothetical statement will be there is a significant impact of independent variable on the dependent variable. Since it is a positive assumption, positive statement, the researcher believes it is true and they want to prove it. When we are writing alternate hypothesis, the format will be there is a significant relationship or difference between A and B, that is the two variables under the study, or there is a significant effect of independent variable on dependent variable. Let us understand alternate hypothesis with the same situations as we discussed in the null hypothesis. So flexible working hours. So here we are making a positive hypothetical statement indicating that flexible work hours increases the employee productivity. Or if it is proved correct, then obviously the companies will take the informed decision of introducing the flexible working hours. Similarly, the business situation of new advertisement, we will say that the new advertisement is more better or the new advertisement increases the brand awareness better than the old advertisement. So null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis are the opposite statement, and null hypotheses are developed so as to reject it, and when we reject the null hypothesis we will accept the alternate hypothesis. There are two more types of hypothetical statements. One is called as the directional hypothesis, that is one-tailed hypothesis. That means we are assuming in one direction. The one direction may be positive direction or maybe a negative direction. So when we are writing a one-tailed or directional hypothesis, we will make the statement like A will increase B, positive statement, positive side, one side, or A will decrease B, negative side, but any one of the side. So when we will be formulating the directional hypothesis, we use words like more than, less than, higher, lower, positive, negative, etc. Let us understand this with a business situation. Let's take the situation of social media marketing. So the directional hypothesis can be written as increasing social media advertising budget will increase website traffic and sales. So here we are predicting that the social media advertising budget, if it is more, it will increase the sales as well. So we are talking it in a positive direction. Let us take one more situation. Here we are talking about a negative statement. So increasing the prices of product will decrease the demand of that product. That means we are specifically predicting that the sales or demand will go down with the increase in the price. So when you are making one-sided, either positive or negative statement assumptions, such statements are called as the directional hypothesis. The next type of hypothesis is called as the non-directional hypothesis. This is not exactly opposite to that of the directional hypothesis. Here, the researcher is making a neutral statement mentioning that there is a relationship, whether it is positive or negative, or there is an impact, whether the impact is positive or negative. So when we will be formulating the non-directional hypothesis, the format will be A will affect B positively or negative. We don't want to claim anything. There is a difference between A and B, or we will be using the words like affect, impact, differ, change without saying increase or decrease. Such hypothetical statements are called as the non-directional hypothesis. Let us understand this with the simple business situations like music in the store. So the non-directional hypothesis is playing a background music in a retail store affects the customer shopping time. We don't know whether the shopping time will increase or decrease. We want to test it. So here we are making a neutral statement. Let us understand with another example of packing change. So the non-directional hypothetical statement will be changing the product packaging will have its impact on sales. That means whether the sales will increase or decrease, we don't know. But just we want to see whether the changing in the product packaging will impact the sales performance of a product or not. So in the examination, whatever business situation is given to you, you should be able to develop all the four types of hypothetical statement. So there are various steps which you require to take into consideration. First and most important thing is you should identify the research question or the research problem which is there. Then you have to identify the probable, independent and the dependent variable. Most important step is to decide on the research design. If you want to select the research design like correlation, then you have to write the hypothetical statement mentioning there is relationship or there is no relationship between the identified variables. If you decide that you want to conduct the research study with the help of cause and effect research design, then obviously your hypothetical statement will indicate there is no impact or there is impact of independent variable on the dependent variable. And whether it is asked or not asked, you should write both null as well as the alternative hypothesis in the given business situation.